when I listened to the group, I came away with certain questions. If they were saying this is what they would feel, and these are the feelings that they experienced, that they had. Depression, anxiety, feeling not valued, feeling no good, and feeling isolated. When they went to the treatment centers, they told them they diagnosed those figures as post-traumatic stress disorder,
Yeah. Yes.
anxiety
Yes.
disorder,
Yes.
depressive disorder, and substance abuse disorder.
Then could I say, okay, Julie, do you feel depression? Yes.
Yes.
Anxiety?
Yes.
You don't feel that you're valued? You're less than somebody else? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not, these are words that are, this is what we say in our community when we go to the doctor, the head doctor.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say a bad word, the shrink, okay? And then this is what he labels you as. And then what he does is give you dope.
Right.
And voila, taking care of it. Next. And he hasn't done anything for you. That's what Benny and the people are saying. And this is incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So
This
we-
is incredible.
We want to put it before the people that you have the power to define what it is that's going on with you. So when you look at what's going on with you and I see within the system, one thing you ought to know is that system is not designed to deal with your issues. As a matter of fact, it has papered them over and then dealing different issues that are not related to you and what you're going through in the first place. They don't know about it. They don't admit it. They, as a matter of fact, they deny it.
Benny is talking like he believes what he's saying. You have to decide, as a person of color, if you believe that too. So what Benny is saying, I believe. But he's saying it for the first time, so it's just going like this to my head. Oh my God, liberation. You know? This is what I'm struggling with. And this group has put a name to it. And now, what Benny is saying is now we've got to go out into the community and get all these numbers, and then we become visible. Because Benny and his group talk about the invisibility of black and brown, yellow and red people in this community. That's why we're so angry. That's why we're so, anyway.
You
It's
know,
incredible work.
listening to this is eye-opening to me because I know how I've been feeling and I know how people like Benny
Yeah.
have been feeling. But it is so, I don't know if refreshing is the right word, but it feels good
Yeah.
to know that other people are walking around feeling the same thing. That's what I was saying about communication.
Yeah.
That we don't talk to each other
Right,
enough.
right.
And we just assume
Yeah.
that we're enemies, but we're not enemies. The ones that come up with the DSMs, the diagnoses in their nice little fat book, they have to label us with something so they can justify a pill to go with that.
And get paid.
And then that way they're saying, and get paid. When they label you with the diagnosis, they can give you a pill and they can say, oh, I did my job, I helped that person. They didn't do anything. And I'm noticing when I've worked in the mental health field, they're not really trying to help anybody. It's a revolving door. You just go in, you go out, you decompensate from your meds, you get crazy, they put you on 5150 or 5250, and then they get to medicate you all 3 days or 2 weeks. But they're really just keeping their jobs.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And it is. It's refreshing and liberating, and it feels like a rock's been lifted off my head, you know?
Yeah.
Brother, if you could move just a little bit back so we don't see your back, Tony is filming, okay? And so, I think now, Benny, if you don't mind, we can now go around and we can introduce each other so we're not talking, you know, just in general, we're talking to one another. And I'm gonna go get the sign-in thing.
I have a paper right
Okay,
here.
Debbie, so I'm gonna get a clipboard. So go ahead, Debbie, introduce yourself.
I'll start with, I'm Debbie, and I'm from the Cafe On A, and I'm so glad to see you all. And I think we've been here since 1999, trying to help people in the community be able to voice their needs and concerns and be support team for people. And then my other work I do is I teach at the college. And I'm Anna. Nice to meet you all. Here to help.
Anna is a former 2 school district members that have a lot to say about what's happening in the schools. This is a new frontier, mental health, and our young people. I mean, shit, talk about, something completely unaddressed, right? And they are doing some incredible work now with truly at-risk populations that are beginning to develop a voice, and so they're doing incredible work there. Okay?
And I'm Donnie Montgomery. I'm with the Community Advocacy Coalition. And we're all in.
My name is Jacques Lee. I'm part of the Lavish Foundation. Myself and my partner Marco here. We're part of that along with the Hip Hop Collective group. And our job is to develop music programs to help with everything as far as children development, showing them how to do a lot of different things and coming up. So our portion is to kind of help out with the mental health thing as far as to use the music kind of core to bring that kind of community togetherness together to also be therapeutic. So this is what we're looking to do.
And I've been encouraging them to work with the county behavioral health on drug programs, prevention services, and I've been doing that since the year one. I also taught at the high school level, college level, in Alabama,
Right here, brother. Okay.
North Carolina. And
We'll
here.
go around and introduce you.
But this is my passion. I sort of feel like I into this job, and this is where I belong, because I feel like the state, the government ought to be able to do something. They have the responsibility to do something to all these people, because it had a hand in creating this kind of this stuff that's out there. And so I feel they have a responsibility to get in and work to fix it. So that's why I stick with it.
We're passing the sign-in sheet, guys, so if you do that, then we can email everybody. And we did a synopsis, I think, last week. It got sent out to everybody that emailed, so we would like to continue to do that for a lot of reasons. Record, number one, but also that everybody understands where we're going, okay? He came in last, so he's gonna have to wait, all right? We're gonna go around, all right? Go ahead, sister.
I'm just ignited legacy for me.
Yeah, yeah. Welcome, brother.
My name is Ruth Jones. I'm a registered nurse, and I particularly love mental health, because it's humbling. When I worked in it, it humbled me. It made me appreciate every single moment of my life, that I could tie my own shoestrings and I could wear a belt around my clothes, because they don't let you do that in a mental health institution. And I was always happy that I had keys that I could leave. And I always felt bad for people who couldn't leave. But I knew they needed help, and I was glad I could be there to help them. But we were limited in what we were able to do, because we had to do it by the book. What we're doing here now is not by the book. And this is beautiful, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Mark Spencer, co-founder of Hip Hop Collective Group and that Black Group with Jock. And just to pick up what he said, music is our outlet. We're trying to use that to bring people together and tie it to mental health aspects as well as physical. Use some of the clinical evidence out there to build and contribute.
Tony D, chairman of the Oxnard Video Magazine. And,
The ubiquitous Tony D.
And just trying to shoot as much as possible.
Yes. And you do, brother.
My name is Autumn. I'm on the board with the Art Commission in Oxnard, and I'm part of the Oxnard Video Magazine.
Good show, Adam.
Hi everybody, I'm Julie. I've been here for 16 years with the center. I love what Armando and Debbie do. I also have Zumba every day, and that has helped me also as part of mental stability. So thank you.
Ellie, short for Ellie Betts. I've been a volunteer for close to 1 year now. I'm a student at Oxford College, and I actually worked at a hospital before. I was following that field, and actually quit it because I saw a lot of things wrong with it, and I wanted to go to college so I can kind of learn to understand what's going on. So this is probably like one of the first times that I see like this conversation happening, besides just kind of like jumping to conspiracy theories and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm really glad.
Can I just add, Ellie is the former student body president at Oxnard College, and she is very active in community causes and activism in a lot of different areas, so we're lucky to have her.
Super bright dean's list.
I just like to share really quick that one time there was this patient at the hospital that was, one that really kind of like struck me, that she said, she shared with me some things that she didn't feel like was right, like medication and all that stuff, and the schedule of that. And she said, as my job as phlebotomy, I couldn't really help much at all. I was barely really limited. And then she one time, I guess when I was walking out and the nurse was walking out too, she said, she kind of like, something between a like exclamation and a scream. She said, do it even exist anymore? Yeah. So.
Hi, my name is Rene Corrado. I'm a biologist and a writer. I am the curator of a bird museum in Camarillo, the largest egg bird museum in the world, over 1 million eggs, 20,000 nests. I'm new in the group. I'm not sure what is going on yet, and so I'm just trying to learn.
Well, this is what is going on. You're a writer, and you come from a real horrific experience, a very poor, poverty-ridden experience that had a lot of diversity for you, and you found your liberation and some of your paths to enlightenment through writing. We believe that writing, music, dance, video, all of the artistic endeavors that men and women forge are therapeutic. And we know that to be a fact. And they're nowhere to be found when they're dealing with us. Didn't Shakespeare famously say, we take all the psychiatrists and we wrap them all up and throw them in the ocean? Did he say that?
I think
so. Okay, so anyway, I've written extensively about mental health, and mostly in anguish. If you're born Mexican male, you come with a lot of heavy mental issues. And then you pound them into your children and into your women. So I can tell you that I'm laden with mental health issues, and that I'm beginning to breathe a little bit easier and a little bit better and a little bit clearer since I've sat down with this empowering group, this incredible group. And I think that we can really do something for a community that has never been done before. So I'm honored and privileged.
No, I
Dan Hinkside, manager for alcohol and drug programs prevention services. And for the last few years, I've tried to facilitate Benny's revolution from the inside, which it is frustrating to look at how far things haven't evolved with categorical funding and restrictions on how funds can be used, and as if individuals and families in our community experience problems in discrete categories. You have alcohol and drug issues, but you can't have mental health. You have mental health issues, you can't have emotional things that aren't diagnosed. So I'm here to learn and to try to be a catalyst for changing on the inside ways that we can move out of a passive, receptive, non-transformative, paint-by-numbers way of doing community mental health promotion.
Yes.
So, got a lot to learn.
Yes.
Great.
And we might add pill popping, getting messed up, and then recovering from those pills and doing it again, kind of modalities. I wonder if we really took music really serious and just immersed our kids in it, or in dance, or in art, or in swimming, in the ocean. Everybody learns to swim, and everybody learns to body surf, and everybody learns to surf. How many of those kids would turn away from acts of destruction and those kind of things? And it would be a fraction of the cost to what we're doing today. So I think we kind of answered that. Money plays an important part, right? So go ahead, Brother Benny. You were
No.
doing your thing.
I was listening too, and I just want to make sure I piggyback on what you were saying. And Dan has been a real soldier in that war that we both talk about, trying to move the system slowly but surely, because I sometimes move my mouth and stepped on it, but he does it fine in a different way. I just want to show the plans that I can see involve making sure that we bring in just those aspects of the culture that we have for teaching purposes, for learning purposes, for healing purposes. So this is what I'm passing around now, just as an example of what it is that I'm interested in constructing together. And the first page is sort of gives you where it comes from, where its whole focus comes from, why we are looking at these issues. And you see that it comes from Samson, and that's the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. They're the ones who have big money, and they get give it out to all the states and the counties here. But those they said is their first and third priorities, initiative. The first one is prevention of substance abuse and prevention of substance abuse and mental illness. The next one is trauma and justice. And the third one is military families, active guard, reserve, and veterans. And in this plan that we're looking at, we take the first two, and we also included the third one, which is special populations, communities of color who do not get addressed at all, who get folded into these other larger systems and treated as if they are universal. They're probably part of the military family, but they have different interests at the same time. So we want to take that into consideration.
But for the sake of clarification, and I know that this is going to elicit, some strong conversation. I have a son with MS, and and it's acute. It's real strong, and I fight really hard to have the system categorize him as special population. So I resent it. Not personal, but systemically, I resent the shit out of me, Mexican brown, being labeled as a special population. I'm an ignored population. I'm a fucked over population. I'm on all kinds of population. But if special means some type of designation where the liberal mind is going to weep over, the crumbs that they're going to throw at me, then I don't want to be special. I want to roar like a lion, right?
And that's what we talk about.
Okay, I gotta say, it means, and I don't know how much you got into this, but not invisible. So we again, the constraints of government language, I can't easily talk about serving invisible populations. So special is a euphemism for not considered,
Okay.
not showing up in the data, not showing up in the planning, no tailored and culture-specific planning and design, right?
So
That's the PC wording.
yeah, we talk about
It's the
changing
world of
that.
living.
So if this is what you respond to, then we can play the game too. We can name it, and we can claim it. We can define it. This is who we are. So if you don't want to call us people of color, you call us Mexicans, you call us black, you call us Asians, you call us Indians, you call us anything, because everything is reduced in your mind to color. We recognize that we live in a pigmentocracy,
Yeah.
not a democracy.
Yeah.
It's all about color. We want to put that on the table. This has been our experience. No matter what you call it, it's really about color for you. And you've given everybody, you've assigned some value, some worth, or no worth, and no value to each of those colors. And you put them in hierarchies. And you deal with people based on the hierarchy that you created, based on color. So we're going to call you on that. We are people of color. And this is our experience within this pigmentocracy.
Yes.
And that's what it is. You call it democracy, we call it a pigmentocracy.
Yes.
Because that's our experience of it. So let us tell you about life in this pigmentocracy, how it is killing us, how it is stifling us. And we're going to come together so we can find our own voice to describe who we are, our condition, how we got to be that way, and what it's going to take for us to move beyond what you see or what you don't see. We are the invisible population. I'm suggesting that we come together as a coalition of invisible populations. And that's what this is all about. I'm suggesting that we come together and begin to talk about it.
It's not a small matter, Benny, and what's your name?
Dan.
Dan. It's not a small matter if we are a liberation model, if we let the dominant culture call us a special population. Because in the 60s, right, I was a Mexican American, I rejected that. I'm a Chicano today. So if I say that to a Mexican American kid today, he looks at me and he says, what's a Chicano? The black community, however, has done a very, very good, an incredible job of burying Negro, and you're black. You're black now, you're black tomorrow, you'll be black in the future. You've redefined that word. We as Mexicans are fucked up. So I'm really careful to not let people, anybody, without me knowing what they're calling me, special population, right? So if we've done it, cool. If he's done it or she's done it, maybe not so cool, okay? But we're having a discussion here, right? So let's open it up.
That's what we're talking about. Taking power back to define ourselves in our own language. So we find us, we don't have to do what you call us, but we are who we define ourselves as. So I'm talking about having a jump off session, bringing all of us together, where we, and I've made it a salon, and I stole it from the French. It means living room, and I've used it as meaning a get together in a comfortable setting, in a living room. So bringing people together in a salon where you talk about these kind of issues, these heavy, weighty issues. Not just to talk about them, but also to plan how you're going to address them, how you're going to solve them. So I was thinking about having something called a salon that called Take a Message to America and Take a Message to Ventura County. And use as a theme, wake up, to sort of wake us up as one people. Wake up, everybody. It's time to build a new world. And I come out from the old school, Curtis Mayfield. I grew up on that. Other people growing up with other kinds of stuff. They get similar kinds of messages. But we're going to take those messages that are in that music and play it for people who are going through those experiences so they can receive those messages, really receive those messages and act on them. And I like what the CRDP has done, particularly in their special reports. CRDP is California Reducing Disparities Project. That's what they're doing. So they have special reports that were done by each of the groups that I named: red, yellow, black, white, brown, and measurement group. So I stole a suggested title from the Black Report. Says, we ain't crazy, and I added, we ain't crazy, we ain't stupid, we ain't criminal or immoral. We are just trying to survive in a crazy, stupid, criminal or immoral system. So that's the message that we want to take, that I would suggest we take to the country and to the Ventura County. When you look at us, you call us and label us all those things. The medicine that you give us, that's why you facilitate us getting those medicines. And don't let us choose our own medicine. You criminalize that. and they put us in jail
Right.
because of it. So let's call it what it is. And part of a place to start from is, and I went to the Native Americans, they have what they call a Cree-Indian medicine wheel. And their medicine wheel describes the gifts that each group brings to the world. And they said that red people bring vision, black people bring reason and meaning, yellow people bring patience and durability, white people bring movement. If the vision is e pluribus unum, then the question is, when can Brown begin? With liberty and justice for all. So that's the new nation that we want to, that's inclusive. It has everybody in there, and it's, everybody's there together, and everybody has special gifts they bring to the whole. And we're going to use those special gifts to free ourselves from this prison, from this desolate existence. So we want to.
This is Benny's vision.
My view. My view.
That's accepted by some people, that's accepted by me. It doesn't have to be accepted by any of us, or all of us. We have the right to speak.
Exactly.
Right now is the time to speak.
Exactly.
So, because we're creating this new body of work. We really are. And so, we gotta speak, guys. So, if anybody has any ideas, because this is in the planning stage, right? Any suggestions, any concerns, then we should speak about it now. But this is incredible work that Benny is doing. But it's not biblical by any means. It's a work in progress. So, you know, it's our duty to look at it and comment. Yes, sister?
I wanted to commend
Yes.
all of this. It's so exciting to see it specified and the details there. And the piece that I felt so good about last week, we talked about, instead of using the terms that are so popular about best practices and evidence-based, is to use the new terms that are being recognized for communities of color, and that is that the community-defined practices. So it would be important
Yes.
to have that
You're right.
incorporated with this.
You're right.
And if I were listening to everything, the two concepts that come across the most are self-determination, which is the other words that are being said for all of this, and a renewed interest in being effective listeners. So what it seems that we're requesting is that people who are providing services, instead of doing checklists, are actually listening to what people are saying, and that they take the time to respond by showing that they're listening and by performing actions that indicate that they're listening. And those can be defined as the community practices.
And,
Yes.
I'm saying, exactly.
and I see that as part of what I'll be proposing and what the CRDP has done. They have come together as separate groups, and they have met separately, and they have met together, and they have put forth their ideas as to what needs to be done. We're talking about replicating that locally. So we will have our own study teams, our own report group, special population report groups that will come together. Out of those coming together, we can each separately define something that speaks for us, and then we can share it with one another. And then together, we can present it. Say, this is what we see, and this is the kind of thing that we need. Can your system adjust to that? If it can't, then we can make it happen.
Right.
So we're not going to really depend on you. We're going to offer you the opportunity to work with us to get expanded services that include us from the beginning. Not just that you design your advertising and come and lay off on us, but things that we work together to create appropriate services for us. Appropriate services for everybody that you call yourself dealing with. And I have lots of material here that I will share as we go through the process of coming together. So I brought up my own satisfaction,
Yes.
but not to spend here at this table to talk about it, but just to let you know that this is what I want to put on the table and have us all contribute to, tear it apart, add to it, change it, whatever feels comfortable for each of us.
So this is pretty pithy, meaty stuff. We're getting really good stuff. we can relate to this. Debbie said self-determination because I just, I breathe that stuff. If I can get crazy on my own, and that the man hasn't helped me, the system hasn't helped me, then I can get better by my own self, right? That's self-determination. Getting messed up, getting better. And I don't think for a second that if I've been left invisibly isolated to get sick and bad, that somehow the system is gonna make me well. That's been the misconception for 500 years in this nation. What we have to do is we have to make ourselves well. We have to produce the tools and the instruments. The deal is, what are those instruments? We already have them. We write, we compose, we sing, we dance, we write.
We support each other.
We support each other. We support each other. So think about this. One of the things that Jim asked me to do, and I think we discussed it, and I think that this is a title that I'm going to throw out. This is Jim's idea. For us as a working group, it can change at any time, but he recommended so that when it goes in, and I think somewhere along the way we have to do a press release or something to put people on notice. The Oxnard Multicultural Mental Health Coalition. It has the city, Oxnard. I guess we could expand it to Ventura County, but I think Oxnard is cool for now. Jim seemed to think so. That's a question that I'm asking you. Multicultural, we certainly are. Mental health, we certainly are going toward that. And then we are a coalition. We can call ourselves a team. We can call ourselves whatever. But that's the name that Jim suggested. So think about it. Maybe by the end of the meeting, we might have some kind of consensus on that.
If you call it Oxnard Health Mental Coalition, then you could say,
That's good.
I like that a lot.
That's good, Debbie. That's, yeah. Okay, that's good. So anybody with any ideas?
I just want to make
Yes.
a comment. I don't know if they're ideas, just a couple of comments listening to
Yes.
everything that's going on. I think when we, firstly when we talked, well, all those diagnoses that were listed there, the one that was left out is the one that encapsulates all of that, and that's post-Jim Crow traumatic. Okay. And when you talk about prevention, if you look at it under
Tell us what
I
you
just
mean
said-
by post-Jim Crow, because some of us won't understand. I'm trying to get my head around that too.
Okay.
So tell me, yes.
Okay, well, I'm gonna try to make this brief.
Yes.
But after the Civil War, we had Reconstruction, and then the backlash to Reconstruction was the Jim Crow period. They tried to undo everything that the Reconstruction period did.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And you have another situation like that right now, when you look at the civil rights movement in the 60s, and all that's been done to undo the
Oh
civil
my
rights
God.
movement in
Okay,
the 60s.
okay.
Okay.
See, that's why explanation is so vital. That's incredible. I got it.
And what it created is people having such a negative opinion of themselves that they get into behaviors that do the master's job for them. Okay? And this is passed on generationally. So when someone is born into America, the parents start the process of mental disorder because they're passing these behaviors on to the kids. Okay, so that's what we have to attack, and that's the I can't even call it an elephant. It's so much bigger than an elephant. Okay. So as we're talking about this, these are things that we have to keep in mind. And I'm saying, when I say born into America, I'm talking about white people too, because they suffer from the same crap. Okay. They just acted out a little differently. Okay. So I wanted to say that. Also wanted to add, as I said, I'm with the Community Advocacy Coalition. One of the things we're doing is we just stood up an internet radio station. Right now, we're just streaming music But by May, we hope to have a community content together and start broadcasting community content. This has got to be part of the conversation that's going on.
Well, you do what you just said right now, brother, and you'll have maybe people out in the street, crying and out in the street. Oh my God, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Okay, that's all I want.
I would bring you some consolation that it is on the table. Joy Degree Leary,
Yeah.
who's a researcher, she has put out this thing called post-traumatic slave syndrome. And she talks about the very same thing. People are, and then they've up to the whole name post-colonial stress syndrome. So we have a whole lot of stuff that's going on that has not been named, but it's out there in the literature. So in our hoping we bring all of that stuff in from the researchers, because a lot of work has been done, so we can all look at it and see if it fits for us.
So it gets ramped up and it gets more intense the more the institutional power feels threatened, right?
Yes.
And that's what we're feeling now. So the backlash doesn't get lessened. The more power we exert on that institutional gorilla, monster, elephant, whale, whatever it is, devil, to use another word, the more that beast is going to react, right? And that's what we're getting now. Do we understand that, sister?
Yes.
Yes, okay? And so what happens is we kick that illness down to our kids. And sometimes we know it and we don't know it. So that shit is all over Oxnard, right? And our kids are infecting each other as we speak.
Can I ask, to me, it's more than even just the alcohol or the drugs or the mental health issues, but it's the justice system
Yes.
taking over.
Yes.
And so the tremendous increase in the number of people being arrested for minor issues has increased so dramatically in inverse correlation with the Voting Rights Act. I mean, even if you just started at like 65. So as soon as that started opening up again, then law enforcement started coming down harder. And so then you were increasing with the hopelessness of people feeling that they're being incarcerated, or there really is no equal pattern of justice, or there's no hope with the justice. And so that change like this, that's really important too. And it's for the poor. I mean, it's for class and color, and it's for Mexican American and Black.
So if you can't get them at the ballot box, you criminalize them. And then you make them felons, and then they can't vote, done.
But I just
Right?
am wondering with what you're saying, does that encompass all of that? Or is there
Yes, yes.
another way of
That's-
bringing that part out also?
it-
Because I think that's a really important part to get.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Part of the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, and even if you go back to, I forget Kathleen, when death at an early age.
Jonathan Kozel.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if you go back to what, he expressed. it's
Exactly.
still going on.
Exactly.
And in fact, if you went back 30 years later, it was worse.
Right.
So-
Can I say something briefly?
Yes, please, all of us, we need to share, all of us.
I would love to see a mechanism that's based on, we have to recognize the problem before we can obviously get to a solution. But there's a part of prevention, I think empowerment and self-vision, because that's the main thing you want to do to hold somebody down, to get them not to believe in themselves. So programs that empower first without ever reflecting negativity, I think there has to be a mechanism for that. I was on a webinar with Benny and a man in Seaside as a program, and he was saying that in this program, when somebody comes off the street, that's strong. So right after that, you're not feeling bad about yourself. So everything should reflect some form of positivity in order to eliminate it. And that goes along with things. So that's just something I think we should think about as we move forward.
Debbie always, reminds groups, and I think that it's a good, process, that we have to define terms. So let's throw the term out negativity. Let's throw the term out positivity. The cops will tell you when they take a kid aside and tell them, you report to me, who's bad on the block, that's something positive. in the hood, he's creating a snitch. That's very negative, right? So I want to be careful that we don't universalize words like negativity and positivity. Let's humanize them rather than universalize them, right? Let's give them some meat, because then we start playing the same game that they played on us, right? So here what Debbie and I do, troubled kids come in, and the last thing that we want to do is talk to them about what's positive and negative. We don't know how to do that. In 3 or 4 weeks, they themselves find how to develop a relationship with strangers with us. And so, you know, Debbie always tells me, don't use unconditional love, but it's very easy to talk about this broad thing called positivity and negativity. So let's, Mark, do me the favor, brother. Tell me what you mean by positivity.
I think it's more of it's just a perspective thing. It doesn't even have to be a word. It's just your interaction with somebody. It's more organic or spiritual. So for instance, doing more tribal-oriented things. So I think we all come from basically tribal backgrounds. That's positive without saying positive or negative. You just get them into their culture and show them that's something uplifting, naturally.
How about you, because Don used it last week and I really love that. The universal commonality, and you know, that sounds big, but it's not. You know, music
drum
is.
circles.
Music is, right? Music is.
Drum circles or something.
Maybe, but music is, right? Dancing is, right? Once upon a time, jumping in the water was universal. They took that shit away from us, you know, and now nobody can swim, you know. But universal stuff, you know, universal stuff. And so if we come across and we say these are universal commonalities that we believe can heal us, music, storytelling, we all got stories, you know. Dance, certainly that was stomped out of us as well, to a large degree in some of our communities. Writing, creating, that kind of thing. And then, yes, the other day I was told that, because I threw out the word love, and the word love wasn't clinical, but fear was. I didn't get that shit at all. But you know, I didn't want to fight it. Love is
It's a 4-letter word.
Yeah, there you go. And fear is clinical. Well, we gotta somehow be able to put fear in that box of nothingness and let love radiate as a very clinical, you know, tool of healing. And we all know what that is. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If I could share, Mark, and I like what you're saying, but I think it's creating the environment
Right.
where our youth, our children can develop. Because if we think of the environment of how we grew up, I mean, I grew up in a very abusive home, and I don't mean abuse, but alcoholic, and just thinking of how we grew up and how we want our future leaders to grow up. It's what do we want to create for them? And so when, Mark, you're talking about the spiritual, and it's not spiritual praying, I mean, that could be a part of it, but more it's like inner. And how are you going to nurture that individual to be able to develop and then be able to offer to their own children? So I think that that's kind of what I'm hearing, and I mean, that's what we need.
To expose that good energy.
Exactly. You come in here and you feel the good energy. And that's what we want to do, is somebody comes and they feel welcome, where you're not criticizing of who they are or where they're coming from, but you're just there with open arms. And it could be the love, but it's more of reaching out for that individual.
Yes, I think for somebody who doesn't know also, like you were saying, just to jump on that, like that feeling of good feeling and fortune and good, you know, people around, like everybody in here, it's a good feeling right here, okay? So a lot of people don't experience that. They don't they don't expose themselves to that. They don't open their minds up to that. I mean, that's where I was getting back to with the word fear, because that can go a long way too and be defined in different ways by different people. I'm afraid of the things that you guys might not be afraid of and vice versa. So, you know, that's a big word that we shouldn't, you know, use too directly either, because it's defined differently through everybody. So more or less, like, to me, just personally, fear is more of a state of mind. You know, I mean, it's kind of like, all right, I'm afraid to go outside, afraid to cross the street. You know, just being aware of danger is different than being afraid of something. So, you know, with my children, I try to implement that fear is kind of like a figment of your imagination. You're only afraid of something that you feel you can't do because, you know, something inside you is telling you not to, or you can't, or whatever. So I try to get fear, can't, you know, those kind of words that direct towards that, you know, kind of pull them out of their mentality to bring them down, as the society does with TV and the rest of that stuff. So that's the kind of angle I use. So just with those little things to explain, you know, quickly with somebody, that just something that simple with the explanation, just to give them a different perspective, to be like, oh my goodness, and they can take them in a whole different direction. Music, for instance, can do that without words.
Absolutely.
And that is what the feeling comes from. So that's, you know, that's just something to add.
So this dance, right, Julie?
I just wanted to support also, you know, the idea that you can listen with someone or listen against. And I think all of us know what that feels like. And I think all of these things we're saying, if you're going in for help, you would like to have the assurance that the person is already on the path to say, I'm going to be listening with you. I'm totally in tune with that. And that philosophy, I think what Anna was saying, and we were saying is, it's also just that glass half full. Do you see it half full? And how do you help people get into that framework so that we're already starting out where, you know, there's that positive tip. I hope that fits what Mark was
Real
saying.
quick too, if I can jump in on there, I remember when I was in high school, I went to Oxnard High School, and it was during the time when it was really tense with the, you know, the blacks and the Mexicans and stuff like that. It was really dangerous during those times. So
What year was that?
I was in 1995, 96. I graduated in 96.
Okay, in 1967, it was happening, the same thing was happening in San Fernando Valley.
Wow.
So the shit is always gonna happen if we don't have this.
Right,
Right?
exactly.
Yes.
But what they did is they some of the administrators got some of the leaders they thought, you know, that to come out, and so they had some, you know, some blacks, some Mexicans in there, just to kind of talk about where the differences and things like that. So one thing that I just wanted to say about that, so, you know, when the study started, one thing that's important is that a lot of these people with mental health and different, you know, drug, alcohol conditions, they're used to being barked at orders, this and that. So one thing that's important is that we need to hear what they feel is helping them, what has helped them. So it's really important to be that listening ear, and also to get their expressions. Like, how do you feel about it? You know, what do you feel would be better? You know what I mean? Do you like waking up at the time you wake up? Do you like to eat the food you eat? Do you like to listen to music? Do you have options? You know, what is it that you go through? Can you walk me through your day today? You know, something like that. So we're going to get a better perspective of how to tie it in, whatever the problem might be, you know, just to get a better idea.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
A little bit, just this page about the rationale for invisible populations, the ambassadors page. I would take what you just said and apply it even more broadly, process-wise to this. It didn't really occur to me until you were just talking. What I would hope for is, let me do the negative first. The way the strategic prevention framework has been used everywhere that I can see. My colleagues, my counterparts in 58 counties, 57 other counties, have a very linear, bureaucratic, paint by numbers approach to the strategic prevention framework, which SAMHSA put out. That's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a process, not a paint by numbers thing. And so one of the ways to change what the prevention efforts, whether they're substance abuse, mental health promotion, whatever, post-Jim Crow effects, is to change what is seen as acceptable for following these steps. It's, you know,